Hello everyone, welcome to my Flosstube. My name is Amy. I'm Fiber Arts Amy here and on Instagram. I'm coming at you with a just normal Flosstube today. I've been working on a lot of stuff, so I have a lot of different projects to show you. First, let me say though, I just want to say a big thank you. A lot of you have been kind of checking in with me and sending me well wishes over the last couple of months while I'm recovering from surgery. If you're new here, I had surgery on my ankle a couple of months ago and been pretty much stuck in bed since. And I just wanted to say thank you. It's nice. It's been nice to have people seemingly, genuinely interested in wanting to send me good wishes. For a good recovery, and I appreciate it. It's nice. Things are going well. I am currently down to one crutch most of the time, which opens a whole new world because means I have a hand free, which is wonderful. If you follow me on Instagram, you also may have seen that we had COVID visit our house recently. My daughter had it. Nobody else ever tested positive, thank goodness, in my family. I felt really sick for a few days, but I never tested positive, and it is entirely possible that I felt horribly sick because I was so run down from trying to take care of my daughter. At the time, I was still on 2 crutches and trying to keep everybody separate. And just like the anxiety of it, especially when it's really hard to clean when you're on crutches. My husband had to do most of it, and he was amazing. But she's doing fine now. We're all doing fine now. Hopefully that'll continue. What else do I want to say? Oh, really important. I know some of you are really excited about the Mirabilia retreat in October 2023 that Maggie, aka Kitschy Whips, and I are hosting. Nora Corbett's gonna be there. She's gonna be bringing artwork to sell. We get to hang out with Nora Corbett for the weekend. We get to ask her questions, do a Q&A, have her sign some things, and basically geek out over all things like Mirabilia and Nora Corbett stitching related for the weekend. So registration for that opens on October 1st, which I believe is a Saturday. It's October 1st, regardless of the day of the week, but I believe it's a Saturday. So most of you probably already know this. You've already taken care of it. If you have asked to be on our mailing list, we will be sending out a email that morning, October 1st, probably around 10 a.m., opening registration. Registration will happen via a Google form that you need to fill out. If you are not on our mailing list, or you're really worried because you don't see an email from us, things happen. I'm not saying we're going to send an email out, but write something that might have gone to junk or whatever. You can always go over to the Facebook group that Maggie set up for the retreat, because we'll also be posting a link to the Google form there. You can email us at queencitystitchretreat@gmail.com. If you are not already on the email list and you want to be, you can email me there, queencitystitchretreat@gmail.com, and I'll add you to the mailing list. If you think you have a problem, that would be the email address to try. You can also DM me on Instagram. But so, big reminder, you need to sign up October 1st, okay? You probably heard me say before, we're going to be doing the attendees by a lottery system. So, we have about 140 spots. If all 140 of those fill up in the first 24 hours, we'll be doing a lottery system to see who gets to go, okay? So you don't need to rush to fill it out. You don't need to get it in the first 60 seconds. You need to get it in the first 24 hours by 10 a.m. on October 2nd, okay? If it doesn't fill up in the first 24 hours, then it's just first come, first served. And everybody who gets in the first 24 hours gets to come. If it does fill up, like I said, we'll be doing that lottery system to fill spots. We would appreciate it if you would take your time and make sure you fill out the Google form accurately. If you put the wrong email address down, if we email that email address to say, hey, you're in, you won't have any idea because your email address is wrong, and then you won't end up getting to go. So take your time, make sure you've put all your information in correctly. If we ask for email address, actually use your email address, don't do your mailing address. We also ask some questions in there that will help Maggie and I for planning purposes, and we'd appreciate it if you'd fill those out as well. Questions about like whether you're planning on getting a hotel room, whether you're planning on sharing with somebody. We also ask if you know, or if you have a good guess, what Mirabilia or Nora Corbett type projects you might bring for the brag table. The reason we're asking that is because we have some awesome vendors, some people who are going to be selling some things or have tables set up, you know, to sell at the retreat. And we want those people as much as possible to be able to have like patterns available. Usually when you see a Mirabilia in person, like, oh my gosh, it's so much better than the picture. I had no idea. I want to get that one. So wouldn't it be great if our vendors there have, you know, the patterns to match the pieces that are on the brag table. So that's why we want to know what you think you might be bringing to the brag table. You don't actually have to like know with a certainty a year in advance. But like some of you might know, like I know I'm going to take Lady Mirabilia. She's stunning. It's got Jill Wenzler framing in it. I love that piece. So I'm going to be bringing Lady Mirabilia. So that's one that, you know, that's how I would answer that I'm taking that one. What other retreat stuff? Oh, I wanted to mention, I'm going to organize a notions exchange for the retreat. And I don't have all the details worked out in my head yet, but my intention is to do a notions exchange. So the notions exchange, and this will be written up in something that you'll see, if not by registration, not that long after. You don't have to sign up in advance for the notions exchange. You don't have to sign up in advance. It's just if you want to do it, bring your notion with you wrapped up for the exchange. And everybody who brings something will get something at the retreat. The reason why I'm saying it's a notions exchange is because, a lot of retreats will do a smalls exchange. With this being a Mirabilia retreat, I think that lends itself, I like the more open nature of doing a notions retreat. Notions exchange. I keep saying retreat. So basically the idea is you're going to be bringing something if you want to. It's totally voluntary. You bring something to do an exchange with that's any sort of notion. It can be handmade, but it does not need to be handmade. There's a lot of ideas I can think of for, a Mirabilia retreat notions exchange. If you have a something for beading that you really like and that you use and you love, that would be a cool notion if you want to share it with somebody else, whether you use a tacky bob or, I'll show you this real quick because it's right here. And it's dusty. I haven't beaded up here in a while. So I like these sorts of things. I got this off Etsy. Hi, Freya. Hi. Anyway, these, it's got magnets. I really like using these trays for beading, especially when my dog's gonna hit the ring light. Especially when I'm working for my kit, because I do have several Mirabilia kits that I use. And so the beads come kind of jumbled up. Like there'll be a pack that has 3 or 4 different beads in it. So first I'll pour them all into like one section, and then I take the time to separate them. And so I find these sorts of trays really convenient. So, if I'm doing the notions exchange for the Mirabilia retreat, I might want to gift this to somebody, and, or, you know, a new one, and I'd like tie it up in like some ribbon, maybe throw in a water lilies floss or something, I don't know, you tie it up all cute and exchange that. I might want to stitch something or sew something. If I make project bags, maybe I want to gift somebody a project bag that I've made, or that I've bought. I might want to do like a little pin cushion or a small or a needle roll or something, but I might not want to. Very open-ended. I mostly need to decide what kind of like price cap we're gonna have for it. If you have suggestions or you have strong feelings on the subject, you know, let me know. Leave a comment down below. But I'm excited because I feel like with a Mirabilia like theme, that kind of opens the door for potentially lots of cool notions. People like putting in their favorite beading needles or whatever. That could be really fun. Or like their favorite way of, oh, one of my, there we go. Some of my magnets were popping out. I don't know if you have ways you really like of managing the charts, right? Because the Mirabilia charts are so big. I don't know, anything you can think of that's just kind of, you know, stitching related, notion-y. And again, you don't have to make it. You can make it if you want to, but we're not going to do 2 separate exchanges. So please do understand that if you have made whatever it is you're exchanging, you may not get a handmade notion in return. It's just going to be one big exchange, and yeah, just, you know, just be aware of that. I just don't want people to be disappointed if they think they're going to get something handmade and they don't, because you might not get something handmade. You might, but you might not. So keep that in mind too when you're deciding what you want to do for the exchange, if you want to do it, because again, totally voluntary. If you have questions, let me know. This is the first time I'm kind of explaining it. I've talked to Maggie about it, obviously, but the first time I'm kind of explaining it to you guys. So if you have questions, let me know. You can leave a comment. You can message me. Yeah, I'm really excited. So October 1st, check your email around 10 a.m. and get signing up, but do it carefully, okay? What else? Other thing I wanted to mention, I am hoping to find some more area stitchers. And again, I'm on the east side of Pittsburgh. I am hoping to start a cross-stitchers group at my local library. We're going to go to the Murraysville Community Library. If I can find some more of you who are local to me and would like to meet up, maybe once a month to stitch, or even once every other month. I don't know. If you're interested, please email me. At fiberartsamy@gmail.com, or you can DM me on Instagram. Yeah, I'd like to meet some more of you in person. Maybe not have to wait all the way until the Mirabilia retreat next fall. Okay, I think that's all the business I wanted to take care of right now. I'm 13 minutes in and I haven't shown you any stitching yet. So let's get started. I have worked on a lot since the last time I did an update, like a lot of different things. Haven't necessarily made a lot of progress on any one of them, but I have worked on a lot of different things. So this one is, oh, I don't have a picture. This is Sleeping Beauty by Joan Elliott. This is what I work on during Pam. So Pam, she's stitching, her Flosstube channel is Stitching the Land of Good Enough, and she has a cross-stitch store called Stitch New England, which I wish I was close enough to go to. But she does a Fancy Lady Zoom. And I just realized I forgot about one more thing I worked on. That's okay. So she does a Fancy Lady Zoom once a month, and this is what I typically work on during that Zoom call. And this is, I think, Morning Glory by Be Stitch Me is the fabric. And I've just been stitching this in hand, but doing poke and stab. My X's with 2 strands still just looks so much better. If you've been here before, you've heard me talk about that plenty. I don't really have any particular goals for, this is a Whip It Up project bag. Don't have any particular, chart. I don't have any particular goals for getting that done at a certain time. I'm just, my only goal is to kind of enjoy stitching it during those Thursday meetings and just enjoy it. And I might pick it up at some point when it's not one of our Thursday meetups, or I might not. I don't know. So I am, in case it's not obvious, and in case you haven't been following me up till now, I am in my bedroom because of the surgery on my leg. I've mostly been in bed for the last few months, 2 months-ish. I have worked on Egypt Mandala Garden since I was on here last, but very little, and I'm not going to lug it up here. My bedroom is where I've mostly been recently. I have grabbed on Shadowing Wednesdays. My Wednesdays have been bad lately. Like, they've been busy and, like, difficult. Doctor's appointments and COVID and everything else. Anyway, I have Ireland Mandala Garden, Irish Mandala Garden, whichever one it is. I have that up here, and so I've just grabbed this and just stitched some of it in hand. Oh, that's bright. I'm still trying to get used to how to use this ring light. I'm not sure I'm any good at it. So this is just DMC. This is the center of it. Obviously haven't done that much on it, but if I know I don't have a lot of time on like a Wednesday, rather than get on my crutches and go downstairs to stitch on the Egypt Mandala Garden, it's just seemed to make more sense to me to get going on my Irish one. I do not have the floss and bead pack for this yet, but I do have all of the like the DMC, because if you get the kits from European Cross Stitch, they don't come with DMC. They come with everything else, but not the DMC. So I had to put DMC together myself. So I've just been, putting in some DMC, making a little bit of progress. I think that's only the second chatelaine I've started. Lord knows when I'm going to finish one. There's no telling. Okay, the thing I've been working on the most is Damask Roses. Love this piece. And I do have a number of threads kind of dangling. I apologize for that. Find a good bag to put behind this. I need one of those boards. I had one of those boards up here for a while, but then we took it back downstairs. This Whip It Up project bag will work well enough. So here is how my Damask Roses is looking. I love her. She is so beautiful. These up here are backstitch threads. I didn't need to tie them off, but I can't keep backstitching until I finish the crosses. So I just leave them dangling. I love her. I think you guys know I tend to travel all over the place, so I've got a lot of her done in like a spread out kind of way. But I've done a ton of this, and in her lap, and even down here, and I've started the column since you saw her last. I think I was getting a little burnt out doing like face and the roses and a lot of confetti, so I moved the Q-snap down some so I could work down here. I've made 2 changes on this. One is that the instructions call for 2 strands of floss to backstitch. I felt the 2 strands looked too heavy. It looked like too much. Most of her newer, so this is MD2, I believe. Is that right? Fairy Roses is 1, and this is 2 maybe? It's very early anyway. I felt the newer Mirabilias, I think always, call for 1 strand of backstitch around skin and stuff. This one called for 2, and I tried it, and a few stitches of it. I did not like it. It was too heavy for my taste. So I switched and went to 1. I also changed the colors of her dress. She's supposed to be done in like 924, 926, like that range, I think, 930, 931. I changed it to the 500 range, and I love it. And I think I darkened this up, this section. There's more of that contrast on her dress down here too. I changed that just a bit. Like when you look at the cover picture, which of course I don't have to show you, but when you look at the cover picture, I just assumed, like, it looked to me like it was the 500 range, which I love. Those 924 colors, those are great too, but I really love the 500 range. So when I actually went to buy the DMC, I was like, I don't want to do it in those colors. I thought it was the 500 range. So anyway, I converted it, which I'm kind of proud of myself for doing, because I started this. I actually started it in 2008, I believe. And that was like relatively early in my stitching career. So I'm kind of surprised that I had the confidence or the willingness to do it. I could just sit here and just show you this for an hour. I just think she's so beautiful. So she's been getting a lot of work, and hopefully will continue to get a lot of work. I would like her to be the next Mirabilia I finish. I would actually love to bring her to the retreat for the brag table. That would make me pretty happy, but we will see. My biggest, most of you know I have dozens of Mirabilias going. My biggest hurdle or trap that I might fall into would be not being able to settle to like a particular Mirabilia to finish, and to end up making progress on like 30 of them between now and next year, but never actually finish one of them. I'd like to have one to take that isn't like framed and stuff yet. All right. Next, I'm going to show you my Teresa Wentzler. I pretty much just ended up ignoring my Teresa Wentzlers during the summer. Excuse me a minute while I get a sip of water. It's hard for me to work on them with my kids around. They're just so counting intensive. It's not great when you're being interrupted. I also find I need to have plenty of mental energy to do this, so it's not great when you're feeling you're like in pain from surgery and stuff to try to work on this for me. So this is the Princess and the Dragon. It's kind of the Teresa Wentzler I'm focusing on, the one I expect to finish first. My dog's like wiggling around behind me. So I did start making, so my kids went back to school 3 weeks ago. Only took a week to bring COVID home. But went back to school 3 weeks ago, and I picked Teresa Wentzler's right back up. I haven't made a ton of progress on this. There's a thread dangling, but I am making progress, which I'm happy with. So I worked on this. I also have done some purples up there, and I think a little bit here, and I did a little bit in the border. So there's still a lot to go, but there's also a lot done. I'm really happy with her. My goal had been to finish this by Christmas this year. I don't know if that's going to happen. But if I keep working on it, typically on a normal week, when my kids don't have COVID, I try to work on this for at least a couple of hours, at least a couple of mornings a week. If I can keep doing that, I think it certainly would have to be getting pretty darn close by Christmas. I mean, that's more than 3 months, left to work on it. So anyway, very excited about that. Really enjoying it. Sorry, just heard it hit the wall. What next? Let's keep talking about Teresa Wentzler's. I did like, I think my kids went back to school and I was like, yay, I can do Teresa Wentzler's again. So I hit like a big old Teresa Wentzler phase. So, woo, glare. I have both of her fantasy collection books. So these books, and this is The Guardian on front, which I also have as a whip, and will be one of, I think, one of the first 3 Teresa Wentzlers that I finish. So I'm working on Princess and the Dragon. I have The Guardian significantly started, but nowhere near like I have with the Princess and the Dragon. And then Woodland Fairy is my other one that, those are like my top 3 Teresa Wentzlers. Anyway, so these are the patterns that are in this. I have, I think this is Celestial Dragon. I have that ready to start too. What I'm going to show you in a minute is this one, Fantasy Triptych. I have that started. I have this as a whip. And I have most of these kitted, like ready to go. Let me find the good big picture of Fantasy Triptych for you. So I've been wanting to start this for ages. It's not actually as big as I thought it was. I mean, it's still big, believe me. But it's not as big as I thought it was. So finally decided to pull that out and get started. And this is just 1 or 2 days of working on it. And I just started, so I really like, with Teresa Wentzler's, I have thread hanging. With Teresa Wentzler's, I really like doing the borders. There's something satisfying to me about it at the beginning, kind of blocking them in. Please pardon the hanging thread. But that's half of it, basically. That's like center point to its left edge. So yeah, I was really in the mood to just work on some Teresa Wentzler border, like the simple part of the border where it's just straight lines and whatnot. So I got started on my Fantasy Triptych. It's not much to look at so far, but it'll get there. They're kind of rhythmic and relaxing, the geometric parts of her borders. I enjoy them. So the other Teresa Wentzler that I started, because why not, is for my Kit and Caboodle Sal. So there's this thing going on where the idea is we all have so many kits. I did not come up with this, but we all have so many kits. We should start actually using them, right, and enjoying them. So for September, I decided for my Kit and Caboodle Sale to start Teresa Wentzler's Romeo and Juliet. And I did not get far, but that's okay. Again, I worked on, and this is kit fabric, I worked on border. And just got some of that mapped out. So you might see there at the top, and I'm not the only one that does this, and I stole this idea from somebody else almost 20 years ago. But when I go across like the first X of one of her borders, I do 9 half crosses, and then the 10th one I'll do the full cross on. Just helps count out the border and keep track of where you are. So yeah, not a lot. This is actually a relatively small Teresa Wentzler. There's over one. A lot of her skin and faces she'll do over one. But I think that's beautiful. I'm really excited for that. And I have this one as a kit. They used to be able to get them as kits. Why don't I go ahead and show my other Kit and Caboodle Sal. This one was for July. I'm sorry about all the crinkling. And this is a laughable start. It's really laughable. But this is is it Motherhood? Motherhood from RTO, and I love this. Absolutely love it. And yet, oh my god, you're not even gonna be able to see it. Have I shown this before? I feel like I may have shown this before. I don't know that I could have. Look, there's my start. Yeah. There's my start. Not real significant, but it started, which means that I'm enjoying it in a way that I wasn't when it was just sitting on the shelf. So, that has begun. All right. There's so much. All right, this one is Elizabeth from Mirabilia. Where is the cover photo? So this is the one, if you see me before, I am stitching this one in hand using the sewing method. As a way of just practicing that. To be clear, I would rather stitch slowly and enjoy my stitching than stitch fast but not enjoy it. So I don't really mind being like mostly a poke and stab stitcher, especially for Mirabilias. But wouldn't it be cool if I could stitch fast and also enjoy it? I don't mind the process of stitching in hand using the sewing method, but my X's don't look as good when I'm using 2 strands. But they are getting much better, and my idea had been that if I could work, so Elizabeth is huge. If I could stitch Elizabeth, you're not going to be able to see it. If I can stitch Elizabeth, oh, I'm knocking things everywhere. If I can stitch Elizabeth using the sewing method, I bet my X's are going to look pretty good by the time I'm done. That was what I was thinking. So she's my practice piece for stitching using the sewing method. And yes, I jump all over the place. I don't normally take that much of a gap, but I was experimenting with, like I started kind of up here, and then wanted to see if my X's would look any better if I was stitching bottom up instead of top down. So that's why I moved down here and started moving back up. It wasn't helping. So I got bored and decided to move back up here for a bit. Don't know when this will be done, but I'm enjoying kind of like improving a new skill. I mean, for the most part, with cross stitch, I don't feel like I'm like learning anything new. It's not really the point of the hobby for me, and I like what I like. I know how to stitch Mirabilia, and most of the stuff that I stitch, they're X's. So, I don't know, like I think about quilting, like you can do new blocks and new techniques and all that. It's not quite the same with stitching. This is kind of one of the few, like, oh yeah, you could learn a new technique, right, to stitch in hand and actually improve on it and get better at it. 30 minutes already. This is Garden Beauty, which of course I don't have a picture of. Let me see if I can pull it up for you real quick. I'm stitching Garden Beauty with Lisa, Crossed by Floss. Mirabilia. We try to get together each week and spend some time stitching on her together. This is bad pictures, but that's what Garden Beauty looks like. Whoa. Sort of what... That's kind of what Garden Beauty looks like. And I'm really pleased with how this is going. Even though I had a bit of a frogging incident, because it's hard to talk and count at the same time. I'm very pleased with how this is going. I'm really enjoying her. I've gotten to start just a little bit of the dress. I don't usually work as top down as I kind of am with this, but I'm really enjoying it. She's got these topiaries on either side. I love the border of this. She's beautiful. So she's fun. It's gonna be a mess to clean up. Okay. So, Nora Corb. Oh, I got my first Jasmine custom bag, which is just really fun. So, this, when she suggested go to Spoonflower and pick a fabric there, it only took a few minutes for me to be like, I'm going to use this fabric. I was thinking in a different direction for what I'd ask her to do, but this is one of my favorite Spoonflower fabrics. If you want me to find a link for you, just tell me and I'll find it for you. But you probably just search it like Fairy Tale on Spoonflower, and it comes in a few different colorways. I actually own some of this, like the fabric already, and I've made it into like some tote bags and things for myself. But I love this fabric. You can't have too much of it. So yeah, very happy with my bag. So Nora Corbett has a Patreon, in case you didn't know. She put up a chart of a dragon. And I'm very excited about this. I worked on this nearly exclusively for several days because I was so excited, and I'm actually trying to avoid other people's posts of the dragon because I want to see it come alive as I'm working on it. It is a hand-drawn chart, so there's not like color in it. Like, we got to see her watercolor and then the chart. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking. But I don't want to see like somebody else's done. I'm enjoying doing it myself. So this is my dragon so far, and I am in love with it. It is so beautiful. I'm really enjoying working on it, and that's what's living in my Jasmine custom bag right now. This is a fabric that I dyed myself. And so if you're wondering how I got that look, excuse me, you do not have to dye white fabric. This was a Charles Craft natural linen that I dyed with some shade of like bluish and like bluey green. And this is how it turned out. And I love it. It gives like a real depth when you dye over a colored fabric, I think. I love this. Love, love, love the way it turned out. The fabric, I mean. Obviously the stitching isn't done. I haven't worked on this in like a week. I need to get back to it because it's really fun. Crash. She doesn't know where to go because everything's covered in stitching. All right, Freya, let me give you some room. I don't have that much left. Okay. Oh, sorry, Freya. She got bonked. Okay, this one, make sure I'm not showing the chart, is Garden Muses. I started this years ago as kind of a travel project. And by travel, I don't mean like while I'm sitting in the car. First of all, I'm the one that drives almost all the time in my family, so I'm not stitching while I'm driving. But also, like, I don't have a lot of, especially in COVID, like, I don't have a lot of sit around, like, waiting time. I mean, like, when we go on a trip, I'll take this with me. I know I originally packed this to go to my mother-in-law's one summer. She's several hours from us. She doesn't have a lot of beads. She's like a relatively simple Mirabilia. And I've been in the mood lately to pull her out. And her, there's two of them, to pull them out, since it's two ladies, and stitch on it some. I just have a little bit more done over here. Oh my god, I'm a mess. You can see I almost always have floss hanging. I will take something off the Q-snap if I know I'm setting it aside for a while, but if I think I'm going to be picking it up every week or two, I'll often just leave it in the Q-snap. I meant to mention earlier too when I was showing Damask Roses, because I do put the Q-snap right over the stitches. You'll see here, like if there's excess fabric, I'll fold it up to cushion the stitches a little bit. It crushes the stitches. Absolutely crushes the stitches. However, if you wash it, the stitches plump right back up. At least in my experience, it's always worked great. So sometimes you'll see a little bit like, before I've washed it, you'll be able to tell, like, it looks like a texture change. Like if you look closely enough, you'll see that the stitches look a little weird and they're a little crushed. But that's one reason I like washing my Mirabilias. Because I don't have to, I can stitch them in a Q-snap like I like to. I don't have to worry about if stitches get crushed because I know I can just wash it later and they'll plump back up. But this one's done on a standard fabric with all DMC and just a few beads. So I don't really have to worry about it for this one. So that's Garden Muses. I think this is the last Mirabilia. How many? Nope, one more Mirabilia after this. How many Mirabilias did I work on since I saw you last? That's a lot. This is, let's see if I have the picture. I don't have the picture. I'll pull one up for you. It's Miss Cherry Blossom from Mirabilia. I hadn't worked on it in a while. And I don't know, lately I was just really feeling it. Felt like she needed some stitches. She needed some attention. There's some pictures of her. The called for was a pink fabric. I felt like that was just a little too much pink for my tastes. I don't dislike pink, but I felt like it was a bit overloaded on pink. This is just a standard Wishelt. You can tell it's Wishelt because you can see right through it. I actually like Wishelt fabric just fine. It's just different than Zweigart. So here's my Miss Cherry Blossom. Don't have a ton done, but I got some here in her collar, some hair, some skin, worked some more, quite a bit more up in the umbrella. I did the browns too. I probably tripled the number of stitches I had in this. I had very, very little done in her, but obviously she's still a long way to go. Don't have any immediate plans to finish her, but yeah, just felt like working on her. Okay, I'm not going to tell you which Mirabilia this one is, if I can manage to keep the secret. I like having you guys guess. I think that's tons of fun, right? Because I've got, I think, almost 70 Mirabilia whips. I could go count because I do have a list of them. Mirabilia and Nora Corbett whips. Most of them are Mirabilias. I like it when you guys guess. And the last time I did this, it was with Fairy Treasures. And I put a picture of Fairy Treasures up on Instagram and asked people to guess which one it was. And somebody guessed correctly, and I was very impressed because there was very little done on her. And I actually sent them a prize because I thought they deserved one. They did such a good job. No one so far, I've had some really good guesses on Instagram, but nobody has guessed which Mirabilia this is yet. So I'm going to show it to you. Oh, I got to get the chart off of it. If you can guess down below which Mirabilia this is, do it. I want to see if anybody can figure it out. So when I first pulled this out, I just had like a few stitches in here. So again, it's still like barely started, but again, I probably quadrupled the number of stitches I had in it. I worked on this last weekend. I was just in the mood. I don't know. Felt like it. And I think I might have showed this before. Pretty sure I have. But I'm just, yeah, that's my challenge to you. See if you can figure out which Mirabilia that is. Let me know down below if you think you know which one it is. The pictures I put on Instagram didn't have as many stitches in them. So it was a much harder guess when it was on Instagram. That's all the Mirabilias. I'm almost done with the stitching. Okay, so I got pulled back into full coverage this past week or so. I kind of been going back and forth of being in like a big Flosstube mood and then like not really being in a Flosstube mood, like as a viewer. I've been going back and forth a lot. But I got into a big Flosstube mode here recently, and I'm gonna do some shout outs in a few minutes because there were some great either new or new to me Flosstubers that I started watching and was really enjoying. But one of them, I was watching Lady Lugana. I'm gonna blank on her real name. Sarah, Lady Lugana. She, I was watching her Flosstube, and she showed her full coverages, and I don't do a lot of full coverage. Never finished, well, I'm not like thinking dimensions here. Like I'm talking like Haid style full coverage. She was showing her full coverage and she is flying. And I watched her Flosstube and was like super inspired. So, yeah, it's Sarah, her Flosstube and Instagram handle is Lady Lugana. Check her out. She loves Mirabilia, but her full coverage is also, like I said, totally found them completely inspiring. So I watched her and was like, I need to pull mine back out. So this is the full coverage that I have started. Still Life of Roses and Strawberries. It's from Golden Kite. So the reason I went with Golden Kite is because, and I kind of learned this from watching Sarah, the Stitchin' Mommy. Like Golden Kite, you can often buy them in like different difficulty levels. Like, so one that's like 200 by 300 stitches is going to be more pixelated, but you can buy the same design, 400 by 600 stitches, and it's less pixelated and looks more clear. And they give you a visual that's not the artwork. I mean, you can look at the artwork too, but they will give you a visual of what your chart should look like when you're done. And that makes me feel a little bit better that I'm going to like the outcome, because sometimes they just don't care for full coverages the way they look a little too pixelated to me. It's not my favorite. But I love Golden Kite's website. I love the artwork they have available. So after watching Sarah, I pulled this back out. I'm happy to report that I am now 0.25% complete. Yeah, 0.25. That's great. So I am kind of loosely using Stitchin' Mommy's like typewriter method. I say loosely because I don't necessarily pick the next one in line. I generally have, but like sometimes if there's one down below and like the row below that's like the only one hasn't been filled in that area, I might pick that one. And I do count all over the place. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me yet. Wait and see if I have trouble with it. Oh, that is really blowing that out. So not a lot to see yet, but I am really, really enjoying it. And so I watched Lady Lugana, and around the same time I got an email from Golden Kite because I get like their weekly emails, and this email had a new, at least new to me, I hadn't seen it before, pattern that I immediately fell in love with. and that is Indolence. I love this. I think that's amazing, and I think part of what appeals to me is just the way she's just lounging, and that's all I've been doing for 2 months. Just chilling in bed for 2 months. It feels appropriate. So I really want to start this one. So I got most of the floss, not all of it, but most of it. And I got, so that other full coverage I showed you is done on 28 count, mostly because that's what I had. I had 28 count, so I started on 28 count. This I did order some 25 count Lugana for. I am completely inexperienced at these like massive full coverages. The Golden Kites do have blended threads. You can get them without the blended threads, but I think they look much better with. And I don't mind doing the blended threads. So I'm doing 2/1 half stitch, so I can get the blend in there. So I started the other one on 28 Monaco, mostly because that's what I had. I don't stash 25 count, which I know is like a common one to use, but I ordered some 25 count for this. So I'm hoping to get this started soon. So that's on my list of things to do. And I thought I'd just show you quickly. So I do have Pattern Keeper, but I am not a Pattern Keeper Pro. I do not, I'm pulling something up to show you. That's why I'm not speaking very well. But I do have a number of charts loaded into Pattern Keeper. So I thought I'd just show you real quick the full coverage charts that I have. This one's an Amy Brown. What's it called? Passage to Autumn, and it is from Heaven and Earth Designs. Haven't started it yet. I have a whole lot that I haven't started. This one was a freebie. Oops. Hold on a minute. This is Freebie Disintegration, which I think is beautiful. I love the colors. This next one is Ember. So these are my options for when I want to start a new one. So Ruth Thompson, the artist, I love. She displays artwork at a lot of the Ren fairs that I've been to, and I actually have Ember as a print just hanging in my bedroom. We have several Ruth Thompson prints, or actually a kind of lot around our house. I love Ember. So I kind of couldn't resist getting her. And I've had those for a long time. But here's the other, I've bought some, so on Golden Kite, I think if you buy 3 or more patterns, you get 30% off. Is that right? I think that's right. So of course I never just buy one pattern. So I also have gotten this one, Spring Blossoms. And some of those that I've started are some of the smaller pieces. I didn't think it was a good idea to start with like the biggest Golden Kite that I have. This one I want to kit up next to start, Young Mother Sewing. I'd like to work on this while my kids are still relatively young. My kids love getting involved in what I'm doing. If any of you are, mothers of young children out there, and I know it can be a real struggle to have time for your hobbies and for yourself, I would just encourage you to find ways to get your kids involved. Even if sorting by color, honey, pick out the color, pick out the fabrics you want me to use for whatever. Part of the way I've managed to get a lot of sewing done while my kids are young is by just kind of getting creative with how to get them involved with it. And it works. Or at least I was lucky enough that it worked for me. This one is the Green Parasol, which I think is beautiful. You can come up. My dog has a Chewy. She's looking for some place to bury it. This is a summer shower. I love this one. But this one, if I remember correctly, is relatively large. And so I was like, oh, you don't start there. That's, might be asking for trouble. I think this is the largest one I have, a day in summer. Like, largest stitch count, if I remember correctly. And the Soul of the Rose, too. So those are my full coverages. I know I've shown you before, I have a bunch of full coverages that are really, really old, that I like, they're pre-Pattern Keeper, that I only have the hard copies of. There's no telling if or when those will happen. To be honest, I like a lot of these newer full coverages. Oh, they're gonna start mowing. I hope you're still gonna be able to hear me. I like some of these newer full coverages I have more. I hope you can still hear me. All right, pause. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully you're not gonna be able to hear the mowing as much. I closed the windows. What was I saying? Oh, full coverage. I like the newer full coverages that I have, I think, more than the older full coverages anyway. It would probably take a lot to convince me to go back and do a full coverage, like a Heaven and Earth design, full coverage from a paper copy. Pattern Keeper's a lot more fun. I do, I like that it counts for you and you know like what % done you are. Okay. I'm getting there. We're almost done. I did want to show you this. This is my needlepoint brick cover, which looks ridiculous right now. It's got this yellow kind of shape. What kind of shape is that? It's like a triangle on a rectangle. It's been a while since I took geometry. Anyway, yeah, this is almost done. I just need to finish filling in that yellow and with blue. I don't know why they did that. They painted the background yellow, but it's supposed to be filled in blue. And so, in case you're not familiar with these, I take it, when it's done, I take it back to the needlepoint shop. We do have a needlepoint shop in Sewickley, which is outside Pittsburgh. It's not close to me at all, but it's there. I can take it back to the needlepoint shop and they have a finisher that will wrap it around a brick. And I actually think once I have one done as an example, I suspect I'd be just fine. In my head, I can, like, I think I know how that would be done. But once I have them finish this one, I think any future bricks I will probably be able to finish myself. But yeah, I'm excited. This is definitely my, like, pick it up when I have decision fatigue and I can't decide what to stitch, or it's just like I'm just tired or I'm sluggish and I don't know what else to do, and this is just mindless because you're just filling in the colors. Again, the yellow, I don't know why they painted it yellow when it's supposed to be blue, but like they've painted each of the intersections, so you just buy this is pearl cotton. You just buy the pearl cotton that matches the colors and you like stitch over it, and it's easy and mindless, especially when I'm doing all of that blue. And the reason it's a diagonal line is because, and I don't do a lot of needlepoint, so take this with a grain of salt, but when you're doing needlepoint, especially a large area, like all that background, you're supposed to do basket weave stitch because it won't warp the canvas as much. You can see on the back, it looks kind of like basket. So anyway, that's almost done, and I'm hoping it'll be done really soon. There's a lot of good reasons to go to Sewickley, but it's far enough away that I always feel like I need an excuse to go there. Like, I'm not gonna go just cause. I need like a good reason. There's a framer there, so I go when I have a Mirabilia that I'm gonna have, or something else that I'm gonna have them frame. They have a great Lebanese restaurant. It's phenomenal. Best baba ganoush I've ever eaten. That's important. They've got a Bruegger's Bagels. I have a thing for Bruegger's Bagels. I grew up with Bruegger's Bagels. But there's not one close to me on my side of Pittsburgh. But they have one in Sewickley. They have the Needlepoint store, which doesn't have any cross stitch. But they do carry a good bit of the Rainbow Gallery silks. They don't carry petite treasure braid, but they do carry treasure braid. So I can at least go and like look at colors in person, and kind of hate doing that because I would rather like give my money to the store. But then I can order the petite version off the internet if that's something I'm looking for. And they have a yarn shop. They have a great yarn shop in Sewickley. So going to Sewickley is always like fun mom day out. Go to Bruegger's, go to the Lebanese restaurant, maybe go to the Framer, the Needlepoint store. They've got a great toy store too. It's fun. Okay. I think that's all of like the stitching I wanted to show you. I'm just talk about a few more things, and I want to show something quilting related really quickly. I have been really enjoying English paper piecing. I know a lot of you, if you've seen me before, you know I spend a good bit of time doing this. This is a Tulip Pink English paper piece quilt kit. I think this might be the first one of her quilts that came as a kit, because her kits don't come this way anymore. Now if you want to do a Tulip Pink English paper piece quilt, you can buy the paper pieces as a kit, and you get all the paper pieces you would need for the entire quilt. You can get templates separately, but they don't provide fabric. This one had the fabric. It did not have very many paper pieces in it, but it does have all the fabric. I have seen these on the secondary market, but you don't need it. You can look at the picture and figure out the general pattern, and use your own fabric to figure it out if you want. They're 1-inch honeycombs, paper honeycombs, which is an elongated hexagon. And I did end up buying an extra pack of those. You can reuse, in case you're not familiar with English paper piecing, you can reuse the pieces of paper. This is what they look like. It's just paper, kind of thick paper. You can reuse them multiple times, and I'm pretty stingy, so I like reuse them a lot. But you can't reuse them forever. Like, eventually they're a little too folded and just wrinkly and not as stiff, and they're not going to hold up very well. But I've been working on this a lot, and I'm very happy with where I am. I have now finished half of the elongated hexagon pieces. So it is almost half done. Once I finish this gray stripe all the way across, the quilt top will be half done. But I have half of the diamonds in. Trying to show them. And the way the quilt's done, it's a little bit of like a color wash effect, where the colors are kind of grouped. And so what was really exciting about getting the second row of diamonds done is that I got to start blues. I'm much more of a cool color person. I'm more of a blue, green, purple sort of person. So this is the next diamond. I've been working on oranges and yellows and reds this whole time, and I finally get to get blues and greens. Very excited. So that was my major quilting accomplishment. I'm hoping pretty soon I'll be able to go sit at the sewing machine and sew again. I don't know if I said this, I'm down to one crutch. Most of the time I'm feeling up to just using one crutch. My foot's still in a big boot to keep it steady and safe. I've started physical therapy too, but I can lean on one crutch. Yeah, I said that because it means I can carry stuff around. Okay, that's most of the crafting I've been working on. I don't always show you guys every single thing because sometimes something got so little done on it that I don't feel like it's worth digging it out. But anyway, so I said I would do some shout outs. So these are some of the people that I either discovered or was really into watching here recently, or some of them I already had watched in the past, but they kind of dropped off my radar and then got back on my radar, and I was like, oh yeah, why haven't I been watching them so much? So first let's talk about Pages and Stitches. It's Pages 3 Stitches, and I will link these people down below. I love her channel. Her name is Kelly. I went through and like wrote these people's names down because I'm sure I'm not the only one, right? I have a tendency to think of people by their handle, name, and not their actual name. Sorry if I just kicked you. So Kelly, I was binging, like I went back and started binge watching her videos from the start the other day, and I'm not done with them yet. But they're so fun. And they're fun for a couple of reasons. Well, first of all, I mean, her channel is just good. I find her engaging to listen to. I enjoy what she's working on. But she has two types of videos. She has Flosstubes, and she also has what she calls her Quilting Corner videos. And I love that because I do multiple crafts and multiple hobbies. And sometimes I'm in a quilting mood, and sometimes I'm in a cross-stitching mood. And I have a much harder time finding good quilting content on YouTube than I do... Whoop, I just shook you a lot. I apologize. Than I do finding good Flosstube kind of cross-stitching content. I just do. A lot of the instructional videos for quilting, they're boring. I know how to do this stuff already. I don't need to watch somebody else do it. I'm not in love with a lot of the quilting content for a lot of reasons. I have mentioned before, I love Happy Little Stitch Shop. Their channel I enjoy. But a lot of the channels I don't. I love Pages and Stitches. Her quilting videos are awesome. And it means, so like whatever mood I'm in, she's got a video for that mood, right? If I'm in a quilting mood or if I'm in a stitching mood. She also, one thing I appreciate about it is her quilting style is much more modern. A lot of the cross-stitchers that also quilt that I'm aware of either are very like Civil War Repro focused or are very Lori Holt focused. And there's nothing wrong with either of those things. I have very like eclectic, I would say, quilting tastes. I like almost everything. But I don't have any one style of fabric or block that I'm super into. There's a few things I'm definitely not into. I don't like Borgello quilts. Borgello, whichever one. I don't care for those. But I like a lot of different things. So I enjoy seeing all the Civil War Repro stuff out there. I enjoy seeing Lori Holt stuff. But Kelly at Pages and Stitches is obviously more modern. Okay, like she's scratching that itch that I have, that I'm not seeing other people kind of take care of that for me. And I feel like Kelly's obviously an experienced quilter. I think she views it in a similar way to how I do. What I mean by that is it's just sewing fabric together. Like, she comes up with her own patterns. She doesn't have to always follow a purchase pattern. if she wants to do something and there's not a pattern for it, she just figures out how to do it. And I love that, because not everybody does that. And I wish more people felt that they had the confidence to do that. So I'm very happy to watch Kelly's videos. Where's my list? Okay, who else? Amy, Gable Stitcher, she's one that, like, I used to watch, and then somehow she, like, went off my feed, and then the other day I was like, whatever happened to her? Because in my head she stopped making videos. But apparently I just stopped watching them. They just weren't showing up, and so I wasn't seeing them. She has fabulous videos, Gable Stitcher. You should check her out if you don't already. Laura, Lala D Stitches. She has a new Flosstube, relatively new Flosstube channel. I think she just put up her 3rd video. She's just delightful to watch. She's just a ray of sunshine. I find her calming and delightful, and she puts me in a good mood. And I love seeing her stitching. So yeah, check her out. Lady Lagana, I already talked about some. Sarah, awesome channel. She's also stitching Madonna of the Garden from Mirabilia, and I love that one. I have that one kit up except for the fabric. That was a unicorn for a while, and I finally managed to get it. I'm not happy with any of the fabric choices that I found for it, and I'm not going to rush to start it. I've got plenty to do. But I'm loving watching her progress on it. The Tattooed Reading Owl, Alma, I'm really enjoying her channel. I had seen her before, but then, like, again, kind of dropped off my radar. Got reminded about how much I like her channel here recently. And also the Traveling Stocking Stitcher. Similar to Kelly at Pages and Stitches. Kelly, right? Yes. She turns so many things into stockings. Like, if she doesn't like the way something looks, she just changes it. And I just appreciate that, because I know how hard and intimidating that can be. So I appreciate that when people have it in them to give that a try and see how it goes. So I also have to say, I'm bad at thanking people, but some of you have been really, really lovely to me lately, and I really appreciate it. And I don't want to give names because I didn't ask permission to, and I don't want anybody to feel more awkward than they have to. But a couple of you sent me some really lovely care packages, and I really appreciate it. I don't even know where to start, because I was blown away. I never expected, you know, starting Flosstube, that people would even know who I was, let alone, like, want to send me stuff. And people sent me some really great stuff this past month. Some of you have heard me, I don't know if I mentioned it in my Flosstube. I know I mentioned it in some of the Zooms I'm a part of. I've been getting really hot, stuck in bed, and I've been kind of miserable and grumpy about it. It's just been hot, and it's been sweaty, and it's been gross, and I don't like it. Somebody sent me a really lovely fan. One of those little fans that it charges, and it's actually perfect. I can put it right up here on the ledge of my headboard, and it, like, shoots right down my back, and it's wonderful. That was really, really kind. You know who you are. Thank you. Thank you. And there were some other things involved too, but that was really kind. Really unexpected and really kind, and I appreciate it. Somebody else also sent me, she basically sent me Autumn in a box. And it was amazing. And I am so grateful, and it was so kind. Again, you know who you are. There were maple syrup candies in there, which my family is, yeah, they're going to town on. They love those. I had to make sure they were going to save me some. They also sent me a lovely card, and how's this for autumn? Look at this. They sent me these beautiful autumn shades of Weeks Dye Works. This is Carolina Cecil, and sweet potato. Oh, sweet potato. And autumn leaves. How perfect is that? And marigold. I can't tell you how the whole package, and there was more in there, but there was some tea. I mean, it just, it really brightened my day. And it meant a lot to me. That's, I don't ever expect people to send me things, but I was really touched. And I know some of you have had this experience too, right? Like you do this Flosstube thing, which when you're doing Flosstube, it's very solitary. You're sitting in a room by yourself with a camera. Notification. And then when you actually get to connect with people, and you actually get to talk to people, and you find out that somebody knows who you are and that you've somehow brought some joy to their life, and they in turn are bringing joy to your life, it's just lovely. This Flosstube thing is, it's kind of magical, and I'm glad I decided to do it. I passed my Flosstube anniversary in July, so a couple months ago. I'm just glad. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for the viewers, for all the comments, for all of the connections, you know, on Instagram. Whoever you are out there, I'm grateful and I appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you. I'm getting all weird now. Sorry. I think that's all I have to show. I think that's it. If there's anything else, I'll save it till next time. So, thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed what I had to show. Remember to watch your email on October 1st for retreat details. And I hope you guys have a lovely time stitching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!